Listen, I would be more than happy to read the parts of the story while we're here to you all. The problem is we didn't do part 1. So I couldn't read part 2 to you yesterday because it would have only taken about an hour to do so, maybe 20 minutes to do so, because it's actually not that long. It seems a lot longer because you have activities to do in between. But if you do the first part of the reading, I'll be more than happy to read the second part with you. Like if you use your Monday wisely, absolutely, I would love to be able to read it with you because I prefer that also. Things changed this year, though, as you know. So that means we have to adapt with it. So I did tell you that the climax of this story happens right at the start of the second part, of part 2. Okay. So you can start it whenever he. Okay. So we talk about the portal room, right? It sounds like he's transported somewhere else. It's where he climbed the tower, right? It actually can start there, but it definitely occurs when he goes to the party. Okay, if you haven't read it yet, but if you have read it, you know that he goes to a party in the second one. Okay. First off, he crawls out of this, or he climbs this tower to see sunlight for the first time. We talked about that yesterday, right? That he climbs this tower to see sunlight for the first time. Does he actually see the sun? Sees a room with marble everywhere. And then what's lighting it up? No, there's another object in the sky that lights up part of the day for us. The moon. He sees the moon for the first time. Okay. So he knows he's come out from the trees and now he can actually see the moon. So in the conflicts that we see, okay, you can definitely look at when he's climbing up that tower is definitely one of the conflicts. I think getting through the tower is the end of that conflict. All right. Now, once he actually gets up, he starts kind of wandering around as if he almost knows the place. He talks about seeing these marble slabs everywhere, these marble and concrete slabs that are standing up. He talks about like these rectangle marble things that he doesn't really identify. He seems quite confused as he's walking around. And then he walks through this wooded area, crosses into a park, and he sees his castle. But the castle is very different. Did anyone notice what was different about his castle? Let's see who's actually read this. I know there's some of you. There's 6 of you that have read it. I think Josh is one of them. He's not here. So there's at least 5 of you that potentially read it. What's different about this castle? Does it look the same to him? No. Jace is shaking his head no. Some of the towers are removed. He talks about the moats being filled in. What are moats? Big things of water that do what? Surround the castle, keeps invaders out, right? But he says these moats have been filled in by a hard substance, something that's difficult to see and get through. What's that? You think it's lava? Lava's not very hard. It is moving magma. You're not wrong, though. No, lava's moving. It's not lava unless it's moving. Okay, it could be hardened something. Look out that window if you can, and tell me if there's anything you would think maybe looks like a moat that's been filled in. Concrete. He sees concrete is actually what he's seeing. He's seeing sidewalks. It's surrounding the castle. He says there's bridges going over it. He's seen concrete. Why doesn't he know what concrete is? Probably a different time. Okay, you're not wrong. Okay. As he decides to go, well, he's never been outside the castle he was in, as far as he knows, but he knows this castle, right? He says he actually knows this castle that he's seeing. So there's some conflicting information there, right? Like he's never been outside of the castle he was in, but now he sees this other castle and he goes, wait a minute, I know this place. He decides to go into the castle, and what he finds are chandeliers and a nice setting, right? But he also, the minute he walks in, how do the partygoers react to him? Those of you that have read, how do the partygoers react to, I should say, how do the partygoers react once he shows up? This might be a long afternoon. Do they greet him? Do they invite him in? Do they? Yeah, skimming it won't work on this story. Skimming it won't work on most of the stories that I select. That's okay. So on the first page, he actually does get to the party. They start screaming and wailing and running out of the building because they freak out about the fact something is in there. And he starts to notice and pick up on the fact that something freaky and scary is in there with him. But he can't figure out what it is. Then he walks through this doorway or past this doorway, and as he walks through the doorway, he describes what he sees. Let me see if I can pull it up here. It's about halfway down right here. It says,